What's up, everyone? I'm here with Shannon, and we are going to go through a rotational focused hip class. This class is all about hips. We're going to do some rotation. We're actually also going to do some flexion, extension, lots of fun stuff, but basically all hip centered. Some things that you might need for this class. We have a dowel here that Shannon is going to use for balance at times, but that's just because we're kind of floating in the middle here. If you're somewhere where you have something to hold on to, if you're at a gym with a squat rack, if you're at home and there's a couch, a wall, anything stable, because we're going to do some standing things that we're not trying to balance. This could be a broomstick. This could literally be anything that you could stand on. And then also maybe you want to have a mat, something soft, a yoga mat or something for when we get down and do some floor movements. But other than that, that's really it. Ideally, we're going to start with just hip CARs today. We're not going to hit the full body. Ideally, you've done your full CARs at some point else throughout the day, in the morning, or you did it before this. And if you need a video for that, you can just check out my full CARs video. But we're going to start with just some hip joint CARs. So Shannon's going to bring her knee out as high as she can. So just bring it up to start. I just want to start here. So she's going to be right at the level of her hip. And we're just going to do internal and external rotation. So Shannon's going to imagine that she has a stake or a point going from this knee to this hip, like her leg is rotating like a rotisserie chicken. So she's going to bring that heel up towards me, and then she's going to go out to the other side. So the goal here is, again, that this is rotating on the spit, and she's going to do that 3 times. But what I don't want is a lot of in and out motion of that knee. So everything else is stable here. She's using this stick for balance and to create tension. It's not the most ideal setup. Ideally, she would be holding onto something a bit more stable, but Shannon's a pro and she can deal with it here. All right, she's going to do the other side. Also, remember, whenever we do CARs, she's going to create tension. You see Shannon squeezing her hand like a fist here. She's squeezing her abs. She's staying super tight, and she's just rotating. It's this thigh is trying to rotate inside of the hip joint. All right, so she's just getting the hip warmed up. Again, this is a before work CAR, so we're doing a little bit more higher intensity. She's working hard right here. She's not just kind of moving. She's really trying to get this hip socket, hip joint warmed up. All right, so that was 3 on each side there. Now she's going to come back to that same starting position. She's going to flex up, and she's going to abduct by opening out to the side. So again, the important thing here is that this motion is coming from the hip. Try to let your pelvis come along for the ride a little when you open up. So she's not letting that happen, where her pelvis is what's opening up. She's getting that from only this hip. So she's only coming out as far as she can get with this hip. Yours is not going to look like Shannon's, and that's okay. And now she's going to try to rotate the same way here. So now she's trying to bring that heel in, bring that heel out. Again, thinking about this thigh as a rotisserie chicken moving around a pivot point. It's not getting a lot of side and out motion. This might be challenging. You might feel this in the side glute already. Your hip flexor might be getting a little sore already because you're holding the weight of your leg as you do this. That's great, Shannon. So she's done 3 on each side. Again, you can see she's creating tension. She's keeping her abs tight. She's using this stick to create more tension. And she's just rotating here. It's not about how big of a movement you get. It's about the fact that you're getting it through the right place. So I'd rather see less movement, but have it happen as the hip is rotating only, as opposed to getting the pelvis involved, getting the knees involved, getting the low back involved. All right, so now we warmed up the capsule a little, that deep hip stuff, and we're going to go into a full hip CAR. So Shannon's going to start with the other leg again. She's going to first come up into flexion, so that's bringing the knee as high as she can. She's going to externally rotate her heel across a little as she opens up to the side. When she gets here, hold on, let's go a little bit slower. She's going to internally rotate by bringing this heel up to the sky. She's going to kick back into hip extension. As she goes back, she's going to finish that circle, come knee to knee, and now she's going to repeat the way she came. So she's going to kick out. The important thing here is when you kick out, you're going to want to get your low back involved. You're going to want to arch your back here, so that's why it's very important to keep the abs tight. You can see she comes back the way she came, drop that heel. Good. Come all the way across the body and come back into that external rotation a little and come down to the floor to finish. So that's 1 full circle. We're going to go for just 2 right now for brevity's sake, but you could do, for time, you could do a little bit more or less. You can always pause this video. But again, the important thing is this is Shannon's femur is rotating around the pelvis. We want as much motion as this can happen inside of the pelvis socket. We don't want the pelvis doing the movement. All right, she can switch sides now. Again, this would be great if she had something more stable to hold on to. A rig, like a squat rack where you really could hold on. This pole behind us, if we were a little bit closer, she could grab on. The more tension you can create through your upper body, the better. Also think about this standing leg is still working hard. She's standing hard with that foot. That glute is working, right? This hand is working. She's tense in her abs, right? We're trying to get all of this stuff warmed up for class because we're about to work really hard. So she's working hard in the hip. She's trying to get this nice and turned on, but the rest of her body is working equally as hard. And again, if this hip car is a little confusing, it really well can be in the beginning. I have video breakdowns of all this stuff that I can send you. Just reach out and contact me. Okay, awesome. So we're going to dump this stick. So now we're going to be working the 90-90 position. You can go ahead and get set up, Shannon, and I'm going to walk you guys through this. So 90-90 is exactly what it sounds. It's 90 degrees, 90 degrees. So the way Shannon is going to set up here, with this front leg, we're going to start with the right leg in front. With this front leg, she's looking for this knee to be lined up with this side of her pelvis, this little hip bone right here. We all have a little hip point, so try to line that up with your knee. Once that's lined up with your knee, we're going to line the ankle up with that knee this way. So now this makes a nice 90-degree angle. And then on the back leg, we're going to take this hip point and put it out to the side with this knee. And then this ankle is going to come directly off of this knee. So we have two 90-degree angles. It's really easy to see if you have a yoga mat or something. If you're on some type of mat, this front shin should be lined up with the front of the mat, and this side thigh should be lined up with the side of the mat. You're basically just trying to make perfect 90-degree angles. And now the goal is Shannon's going to try to sit up nice and tall, and she's going to try to bring her belly button and her ribs over that front knee. So what I don't want is for her to round her spine too much. I'll show what that would look like, Shannon. So where she's getting more forward, but she's getting it by rounding through her spine. She's not actually adding to the stretch. So she's going to try to keep her chest nice and tall and proud and pull her belly button forward. And then she's also going to think about that right butt like she's pulling it back towards the wall. So she's as if one string is pulling her torso forward and one string is pulling her butt back. All right, you have a stretch there, Shannon? All right, so she's feeling the stretch in her right side glute. That's perfect. That's right what we're going for. And she's just going to kind of hold there and breathe for a few seconds. So you want to find that stretch first. Finding it in the side glute is great. We don't want any pinchy stuff going on in the front side of the hip. So where Shannon is folded over, if she was feeling a pinch there, that's something that we would want to address. So we want to come out of this position. We don't want any pinchy stuff in the front side. Stretchy stuff on the back side is fine. Pinchy stuff on the front side means no go, and we need to reassess and come back to this later. But now that Shannon's been holding this stretch for a little while, I'm going to cue her to get into what we call pails and rails. And pails and rails are the isometric contractions that we're going to use. So today, Shannon, we're doing a rotational focus class. So Shannon is thinking about that. We warmed up with this external and internal rotation, right? So now where Shannon is, she's going to think about that same external rotation as our pails contraction, but because she's on the floor and the floor is blocking her, she's not actually going to get anywhere. So this is going to be a contraction into the floor, and she's going to use those external rotator muscles to kind of ramp up and start to train them without actually moving. So we're going to think of Shannon like she has a dial from 0 to 100, and we're going to work her up from maybe 0, 10, 20, 30%, and I'm going to dial her all the way up to 100% max effort. Shannon is well versed in this style of training. She's done this many times before, so she's going to work up to 100%. If you've never done this before, I want you to stop at around a 60% effort, and then the next time you come back and do this class, you can think about going 70, 80, 90%. So that's pails contraction, right? So that's the first contraction, is where she's rotating as if she could scoop this leg through the floor away from her. Again, thinking about that rotisserie chicken rotating this way. Then we're going to work out to 100%. I'm going to count her down, and I'm going to tell her to switch, and she's going to flip that contraction as if she's trying to lift all of this stuff. So before she was scooping it through the floor, Then she's going to switch the rotation there and flip as if she's trying to lift all of this stuff off the floor via rotation again. So now she's going to go here. Oh, this is external rotation. Sorry, I messed up before. But whatever. The point is that she's going to go first. She's trying to internally rotate to sweep through the floor. Again, there's no actual movement because the floor is there. And then she's switching to lift off the floor. Again, there's going to be very little, if any, movement, probably none, because she's already so deep into her stretch that there is no actual motion that's going to be able to come there. But she's trying her best. That's the point, that she's going to give maximum effort. If I can slide a piece of paper under her heel at that point, that would be a great win at this point. All right, so we've been in the stretch for too long now. And she's just going to lean into it, make sure she feels that stretch on the backside of her hip. She's going to get tight everywhere. She's going to pack some air into her abs. She's pushing down through her hands. And now she's going to start to rotate down through the floor 20%, like she's trying to leave a dent in the floor here, like she's trying to sweep this down 30%, 40%. She's going to work up 50, 60. She's going to get to her maximum effort, whatever that is. Again, if you've never done this before, your maximum effort is not going to be her maximum effort. And now that she's at her maximum effort, she's going to try to hold there for 10, 9, 8. She's trying to still think, pull that string on the butt back, pull that string on the belly button forward. When we get to 0, she's not going to come out of position. She's just going to flip and try to lift that knee, shin, and ankle off the ground. 3, 2, 1, contract, contract, contract. You see her foot is sickling a bit, but it's not actually going anywhere. She's trying to get it high. She's trying to let me slide a little piece of paper, fight against my hand, try to push my hand off you. 3, 2, she's not going to come out of the stretch. She's going to relax, but she's going to lean deeper into that stretch. And now she's opened up a little bit more range. She's deeper into this stretch. She's going to take a few big, deep breaths, right? Recovery breaths, trying to get the heart rate back down. We're trying to get out of that fight or flight place. Your heart, you should be super jacked up because that was a hard contraction. Kind of come down a little bit, breathe, just be in the stretch, ease into it. You're going to rest another 30 seconds, and then we're going to do another round of that. So another thing that Shannon can think about is when we're doing that first Pales contraction, when she's ramping up 20, 30, 40, 50%, imagine that she has a scale under her leg. And when she's ramping up, she's trying to get heavier into that scale, right? She's trying to get her knee, shin, and ankle to rotate and make that number on that scale read higher, 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 higher. And then when we go to switch to that rails contraction, it's the opposite. She's trying to get light in that scale and trying to lift her foot off of it. Even though it's not coming off the floor, she's trying to get as light in that scale as possible. So there's no weight pushing into that scale. She's just hovering on it, just barely grazing it. All right, you ready, Shannon? All right, so we're going to start again. She started thinking about that rotation, that internal rotation, scooping the foot out and away from her, 20%, 30%, ramping up slowly. Don't just jump to 100% or 60, whatever your thing is, 40. Let's go 50, 60. Let's go to 80. And now safest, greatest effort. Safest is important, right? You want to work as hard as you can, but as hard as you can safely. And that will improve over time. The more you do this, hold it 5 more seconds, as heavy as you can in the scale, break the scale, leave a dent in the floor. 3, 2, and now switch to getting light in that scale. Lift up, lift up. Let me slide my fingers under here, push against my hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, good, relax, 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 but we're gonna stay in that position. All right, so Shannon is still gonna stay here, but we're gonna switch and do some work onto this back leg for right now. Actually, Shannon, you can come out of this position. I'll demonstrate so you can get a little break. So we're gonna be in this 90-90 position. This is where we just were. We just trained the hell out of this front leg. So now what we're gonna do is do some hover movement with the back leg. So what we're gonna try to do is lift up this leg and we're gonna rotate it into what's called butterfly position. But the thing is here, a lot of us, if we're in this upright position, aren't going to be able to lift this leg off the floor. Like if I try to lift my leg right now, it's stuck, it's glued to the floor. So what we're going to do is we're going to lean out a little to open this angle. So the closer this angle is here, from my ribs to my thigh, the harder this is going to be to lift. So if I can't do it here, it's fine for me to lean out a little bit. All right, now I can get a little bit of uplift off the floor. The important thing is that you be realistic. Don't try to be up here and then you try to lift and you have to leave here and then you bounce back. So just find wherever your place is where you can lift and then stay here. So for me, it's right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to lift all of this off the floor at the same time. So it's my thigh, my shin, my ankle all come up off the floor at the same time. I'm going to rotate externally, trying to keep my heel off the floor, not letting it touch the floor as much as I can. Trying to squeeze this in towards my thigh, trying to get this nice and tight. And then I'm going to go back the way I came. Again, never letting this heel touch the floor. When I get back into this 90-degree position, I'm going to slowly let it parachute down to the floor. If I can, ideally, I let the knee and the ankle fall down at the same time, nice and slow. I'm not just dropping it. All right, so that's 1 rep. So we're going to go up, in, back out. We're going to do 5 reps like that. And on the 5th rep, Shannon's actually going to stay there because we're going to be in a new position that we're going to start. All right, and so just like before, just like everything else we've talked about, make sure she's lined up back where she was. You can find that position where you can actually get some abduction, so that's fine. Good, now she's gonna abduct up, rotate, let that heel, it can drag across the floor, bring it in, try to squeeze your heel into your thigh, right? And now come back the way you came. Get all the way out, heel up, heel up, heel up, and then slowly parachute down to the floor. Shannon's using her kickstand arm. She's pushing into the floor. Her abs are still tight. That front leg is even driving into the floor a little bit, right? So she's still creating tension everywhere else in the body. That's 1. We're doing 5 reps. Take your time. The slower you go, the better, right? Don't speed through these. The slower you go, the more you're working. The more you have to get comfortable in these uncomfortable positions. Good, perfect. This is 3. And remember, when Shannon gets to 5, she's going to stay in this butterfly position. You see, Shannon's not rocking back and forth. She's found a position that she's comfortable in, or comfortable. Good, that's 4. Last one. She's going to come in, she's going to bring that heel down to the floor here, and she's going to end up in butterfly position. All right, so this is awesome. She's going to just center yourself. So now we're in butterfly position. This can look very different depending on how much you've trained this type of stuff. So we're going to work some lift off bilaterally for these outside butts, outside hip areas. So Shannon is first going to kind of use your elbows to kind of create that, So Shannon is pretty flexible here, so she can, if you have something at home that you can block this, it might not look as wide as Shannon's, but what Shannon's going to do, she's going to try to find the very end of how much she can open her thighs here, how abducted her knees can get away from her. And then she's going to come in just about 1 inch or 2, because what we're going to do is try to get lift off. So she's going to try to lift her knees down towards the floor away from her elbows. So if you're at your absolute maximum end range, you're not going to get any movement there. So she's going to find her maximum end range. She's going to come in about 1 inch or 2. And then we're going to do 12 lift offs. She's going to lift off, hold there for just 1 second, and then slowly control it back to her elbows. So just show what one of those is going to look like. Right? So you see there's not a lot of movement. Perfect. And she's going to control it back. But we're just going to lift off, hold, come back, right? So we're going to do 12 reps. So find your end range. Try to sit up tall. Try not to round your back too much. But we're going to do 12 reps here. You ready? All right. Again, she's getting strong through the core. She's bracing. Lift off, hold, 1. Perfect. Lift off. 2. Good. Lift off. 3. Good. Hold it for a second. Lift off. Slow back. Control it back. 4. Perfect. Lift off. Control it back. 5. Lift off. Control, control, control. 6. Lift off. 7. We're in a 12. Lift off. 8. Lift off. 9. Lift off. 10. 2 more. Lift off. 11. Lift off. 12. Good. All right. We're going to stay here and do one more round of that. We're just going to rest. Again, every time we're resting, we're doing those deep, diaphragmatic, slow breaths. We're really trying to bring the heart rate down as much as possible. This is hard work. It's not a lot of movement, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. You should be trying hard. You should be training hard. You should be sweating. You should be making faces like Shannon is making. You should be working. All right, we're going to do another set of 12 here. So you also might find that you're a little bit, once you stretch this out a little bit, you can get a little bit deeper into it. If not, that's fine, but if you can, that's fine as well. But just find that place where you have an inch or two to lift off, and let's do it. Lift off, abs tight, good. 1, lift off, good. 2, lift off, 3, lift off, 4, lift off, 5, lift off, 6, lift off, 7, lift off, 8, lift off, 9, lift off, 10, 2 more, lift off, 11, lift off, 12, good. Rest for a second, rest, rest, rest. And guys, remember, you're watching this at home, you can pause the video, you can get water, you can, if you're cramping up or something, that's also to be expected. These are weird little muscles that we don't get to that often, especially if you've never done this style of training. So if you do cramp up, that's okay. Just maybe work through it, maybe give yourself a break and come back to it. It's fine to pause this video. It's fine to get water. It's fine to not be able to do all 12 reps. Whatever you can get is fine. This is about progress and building over time. All right, so now we are going to go back through that butterfly position into left leg forward, right leg back. So we have to do the whole thing we started with in the front on the right side, and now we have to do the whole thing still on the left side. So Shannon's gonna maybe lean a little bit towards me so she has a little bit more space, and she's just gonna pull that right leg into, pull your heel towards your thighs as much as you can. Yep, and now she's gonna rotate it out and kick it back until she gets into that 90-90 position. And now she's here with her left leg forward, yep, and her right leg back. So we're starting all the way where we started it right in the beginning with first we're going into internal rotation into the floor, external rotation for 2 rounds. Then we're gonna do 5 of these kind of swivel hovers from the back leg. So remember, first Shannon needs to find that stretch. So she's thinking chest up. She's thinking I have that string pulling her up and forward. She's thinking I have a string here from this butt pulling back. So she's really trying to get long through here. She's trying to feel the stretch in the back side, no pinching in the front side. We're already pretty warmed up here, so we don't have to sit here for as long as we did on the first side. So cues are the same. She's gonna get super strong through her upper body. She's gonna turn her abs on, and then we're thinking about rotating that foot down through the floor like she could come up and scoop up and kick me. All right, we're gonna start 20%. Rotate down into the floor, 30%. Again, I'm gonna work Shannon up to 100%, but that's just for her. You guys can stop wherever you feel comfortable. 40, 50, again, think rotate this, rotate towards me, 60, 70, think tension through that back leg, right? Don't lose it. A lot of times as we get higher here, we kind of lose the rest of the body. Arms are pushing, abs are tight, 80, 90, 100%, safest, greatest effort. Push as hard as you can. Push, 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 push. Get as heavy as you can in that scale. Try to kick through the floor into me. 5, 4, 3, 2, and now we reverse. We get light in that scale. She's trying to rotate her ankle and shin up off the floor, trying to turn this up towards me like she's trying to come up towards her outside shoulder there. For 5, squeeze as hard as you can. This is max effort. This is max. This might cramp your inner thighs. 3, 2, and don't come out of it, but lean deeper into that stretch. Lean deeper, deeper, deeper. Find yourself deeper in that stretch and take some recovery breaths. Big, deep breaths here. Foot cramps, it's okay. Again, cramps are part of this training. Cramps are your body saying, whoa, hey, I've never been here before and I really don't like it. So they're trying to get you to stop. You need to tell your body, no, I am in charge. I decide when to stop, not a cramp. So maybe you fight through it, maybe you shake it out, maybe you get right back to it, but don't be afraid. Again, the only thing we don't want is, like I said, pinchy, stabby, nervy pain. Anything other than that, any crampy stuff, any muscly stuff, any stretchy stuff, that's okay. We're working hard here. Again, she's working up to 100% maximal effort. That's hard work. That's, if she could break through this floor, it would be cracked like a karate board, all right? All right, so one thing I just do want to come back to again, when we're doing this again, as I'm ramping her up 20, 40, 60, 70%, we don't want to forget about the rest of the body. The arms are working hard, the abs, the back leg is still pushing down into the ground. The more tension we can create, the better it's going to be. The better you're going to get a contraction in that front leg if the back leg is working with it. All right, so always try to remember you're going to lose it. Your body is going to get a little bit looser. Try to come back to it. Try to remember tight, tight, tight everywhere. So we're going to big breath in. Turn the abs on, pushing down through the hands. The hands are even gripping the floor a little, and we're going to start to rotate down into that scale, 20%. This is the last set of these rotations, so try to give it everything you got, 30%, 40%, 50, 60. Controlled ramp up, right? Turning a dial. We're not just jumping to 170. Turn that dial 80, 90. Turn that dial up to 100%. Push, push, push as hard as you can. This is the last one. All of this stuff should be working hard. This outside hip stuff should be going crazy. 5, 4, 3, string pulling you up, string pulling you back here. 2, and now flip that rotation. Try to get that heel off the floor. Try to fight me. Try to fight. Push into my hand. Push into my hand. Push into my hand. Try to get it up. Try to let me slide a piece of paper under here. 3, 2, and sink down into that stretch. Relax, relax, relax. So remember, we're staying in this position. The front leg is done now, but we still have to go on those lift-off swivel hovers. Swivel hovers. Words are hard. For the back leg. Okay, so Shannon's going to take a second. And now again, when we do this, like I said, that the position that she was in before is not going to be the position that she's in for this one because she needs a little bit more space on that side hip. I'll get out of the way here. So you can find wherever you need to be. Yep, okay, so try to lift off if it comes up off the ground. So just sit up a little bit more and just show what it would look like. So if she tried to lift off here, there's no movement there. It's stuck. So that's going to mean that she's going to need a little bit more space. So she finds that space here. Now she can lift up a little. All right, good, perfect. So now we're going to go, again, same thing. We're going to go 5 hovers. On the 5th one, we're going to stay in that butterfly position. All right, so lift up. Think pull that heel into your thigh as you're coming, so you're squeezing the hamstring as well, trying to get your heel as close to your butt as possible. All right, and flip it back. Keep that heel high. See if you can get your knee to come down to the floor before the heel. Oh, good job. That's 1. Nice and up. Staying, she's kickstanding the ground. This arm is super strong. She's using this front arm to give her a little bit more tension as well. All of these are great things. Grab the floor with your hand, really claw at it. Like anywhere you can get a little bit of extra tension is going to be good for you. Same thing, slow and controlled, right? Fight through these uncomfortable points. Good job. 2 more. And 1 last time, she's just going to come, bring it down, and land in this butterfly position. But we're not going to do anything here, so you can stand up because we're done with these positions. All right, and I'm going to demonstrate the next thing. Give Shannon a break for a second. So the next position we're starting in is figure 4, and we're going to try to get some hamstring and hip flexor stuff. So we did rotation of the hip. Now we're trying to do flexion extension, so we're trying to, again, hit the whole hip here. What we're looking for here is a stretch in this hamstring. What I don't want is for you to come and put the back of your knee right on the floor and try to stretch your hamstring like this. You should have some bend in your knee. And we're going to think about that same cue I've been giving Shannon, which is belly button up and forward, butt pulls back. And when you do that, even with a bent knee, you should be able to feel some stretch in the hamstring. A lot of times when people straighten their knee too much, they get a sensation in the back of the knee, which is more sciatic nerve or maybe all the way down to the ankle. That's not what we want. We want this nice, meaty belly of the hamstring stuff from the bottom of your butt to the kind of the insertion point in your knee, anywhere along that line. But like I said, it's not about just getting your knee as straight as possible. It's about finding that stretch by going into the kind of anterior pelvic tilt, which is that butt back chest forward thing. So I don't want this when I'm slumped forward and I can get my chest to my knee here, but it's rounding through my spine. It's not about that. Again, it's not about how it looks, it's about how it feels. I don't care if you look like this, if you feel a stretch in your hamstring. So I'm going to find that hamstring stretch. wherever it is, I feel a nice stretch here. So what we're going to do is first we're going to go into extension through the hip, which is, you're going to imagine, same thing about that scale, about scooping down through the floor. I'm going to imagine I could kick back and down behind me through my butt and through my hamstring. So I'm trying to scoop down through the floor. If I was laying on my back, this motion would happen, right? So I'm coming down through my butt, but also curling my hamstring. Again, nothing's actually going to happen because the floor is there, but I'm creating maximal tension, squeezing my hamstring, squeezing my glute down into the floor. So that's going to be our Pales contraction, where I'm going to count, I'm going to ramp Shannon up, again, 20, 30, 40, 50%. As she's doing that, she's still trying to lean more into the stretch. The more that you're contracting, the more she's trying to go chest forward, butt back to increase the stretch. And then when I say switch and we go rails, what she's going to try to do is try to lift this stuff off the floor without leaning back anymore. So she's going to try to use this hip flexor, deep thigh stuff to try to bring this up off the floor. Again, there might not be any motion. It's as if she's trying to pull her chest, pull her ribs more forward, pull her thigh up, like there's a balloon right here that she's trying to squeeze and pop. So you might get all those little crampy sensations here in the front of the hip. Again, that's okay. That's what we want. That's what we're going for. All right? So let's sit down into this first figure 4 position. I would start with the right leg because that's where we started on the other side. So now, first things first, try to just find that stretch. So she's just thinking, again, ribs up and forward, butt back. You see that Shannon doesn't have to have her knee completely bent. She's pretty flexible. I'm sure she could straighten it out and lean forward if she wanted to, but that's not the goal here. Where do you feel a stretch? All right, right under the hamstring, right under the thigh. That's exactly where we want it to be. Okay, so now again, Shannon's going to find a way to create tension with her upper body. You see she's pushing down into the floor here. This could also be squeezing a yoga block. This could be squeezing yourself like this. It doesn't really matter. The point is that she's creating tension. All right, and now she's going to breathe into the abs, get tight, get ready, and we're going to start 20%. She's, imagine, curling down through the floor like she's squeezing this, like she's kicking down through her butt, through her hamstring. She's squeezing everything. 30, 40, still thinking up and over with the chest, still thinking butt back as you're doing this. 50, 60, trying to squeeze as much as you can, trying to squeeze yourself deeper into that stretch. 80, 90, and hold for 10, 9, working hard. 8, check the tension in the rest of your body. 7, 6, keep it going. 3, 2, and now we switch, and she gets light in that scale, and she pulls herself deeper into the stretch. Push into my hand, try to lift my hand off the floor, squeezing through the hip. She's not rounding her spine. She's keeping chest up, butt back, chest up, butt back, chest up, butt back. 3, 2, and don't come out of the stretch. Just relax, but lean into the stretch a little bit more. You should feel, this is the best my hamstring ever feels, is whenever I do this progression of Pales rails for hip extension and flexion. It feels so good. So after you're done with this, do a toe touch and see how your hamstrings feel. All right, so Shannon's just breathing now. Again, whenever we're in between reps, you need water, you need whatever, that's fine, but we're just breathing, trying to get the heart rate down, trying to come back down to baseline, trying to relax into that new stretch, right? When you do this Pales rails, what that does is it opens up a new range. So wherever that maximum was that Shannon could get before, after a set of Pales and rails, theoretically, she should be able to get a millimeter or two, an inch or two, maybe deeper into that stretch. So now when she does the second round, it's going to feel different. It's going to be a little bit more challenging maybe. It's just going to feel foreign because it's a place that she probably doesn't get very often, right? If that's a place that you don't usually get to, and now you're in there working hard, working 20, 40, 60, 80, 100%, it's going to feel challenging. And this is why I say safest, greatest effort, because you are weak here. This is a place you've never been. You can't be strong in a position you've never been in. So you're inherently weak in this position. So don't worry about what it looks like. Don't worry about anything. Just work here, work over time, come back, do this video more, progress, and you will see benefits. All right, you ready to go again? Okay, so same checkpoints. She's finding that stretch. She has the stretch in the belly of her hamstring. Yep. She's going to find tension with her hands on the floor. She's going to create that tension in the abs. And we're going to turn that dial from 0 to 20. Her heel, right? That scale is now under her heel. She's trying to get heavy in that scale. 30, 40, turning up the volume. Again, this is the last one on this side with this. 50, 60. When I say safest, greatest effort, I mean greatest effort. Like you could break through the floor. 80, 90, 100% effort. Think scoop that butt back, think scoop that chest forward. 5, as hard as you can. 4, 3, 2, get light in the scale and pop that balloon. Think chest up. Think this could come off the floor. This could come off the floor. It's not going anywhere. Butt back, chest up, butt back, chest up. 3, 2, 1. Relax, relax, relax into that stretch. Breathe. That's awesome work. This is hard work. I know. I'm sweating just standing here. We don't have air conditioning where we're recording this, so. All right. And now we're just going to do a little bit of an isometric movement to get into the other side. Instead of just switching, we're just going to make it a little bit more challenging for her because she hasn't worked hard enough yet. So we're just going to lift this leg off the floor with the hip flexor, no, the straight leg, right? We're going to bring that heel into the thigh. So now we're going to land back in butterfly position. Exactly. And now we're going to switch legs. So this left leg comes up, extend, keep it as high as you can, high, 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 and then slowly lower. And now Shannon's right in position for the same thing on the other side. But first she wants to find that stretch. See, slight knee bend, chest up, butt back, chest up, butt back. Again, I'm always thinking string pulling this way, string pulling this way. And finding that good stretch on the underside of the thigh. That's the most important thing. All right, you ready? We're gonna get right into it. All right, so again, find tension. Think about that dial, right? We always wanna be controlling it. Yeah, you could just slam into the floor and go right to 100%, but can we control the body to go from 10, 20, 30? This is what we're learning. Control yourself, right? That's the whole point here. All right, so we're gonna start. Create tension, abs on, 20%, 30%, 40, 50, ramp it up, 60, 70%, we're going to 80, 90. I shouldn't be able to lift your foot off the floor. She should be pushing so hard. Yep, I can't even lift it because she's crushing the floor. 3, 2, and now she switches, and now she's trying to pull off the floor. She wants me to be able to slide a little piece of paper in here. Still thinking butt back, still thinking chest forward, getting deeper into this stretch. Squeeze, pop this balloon right here. Squeeze your thigh into your ribs into your thigh for 3, 2, don't come out of the stretch, but relax and lean into it just a little bit more. There you go, there you go, there you go, awesome. All right, and now she's deeper into that stretch like I was just saying. So now that angle has changed. On the next round, it's gonna be a little bit different. We're breathing, we're having fun, we're having a good time.
Glad you're having fun.
I'm having a blast. All right, a few deep breaths. Always want to take about at least 30 to 45 seconds in between sets. You don't want to just jump right back into it. You need that opportunity to come back down to baseline a little. If you have a little bit more time, you want to give yourself more time, you're more than welcome to. But we're going to get into the next set because we don't have time. All right? So create tension, big breath in, abs on, hands create tension. This is the last set on this side, so we're going max effort, but we're starting at 20, 30, 40. Again, push down, crush my hand, don't let me lift it. 50, 60, going all the way up to 70, 80, and now we're turning that dial to 100 and past 100%. Crush the floor, crush my hand. Push, 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 push. The butt is scooping. The hamstrings are working for 3, 2, 1. And now lift my hand, lift my hand, lift my hand. Lift my hand as hard as you can. Try to get up off the floor. Try to squeeze the hips into the ribs into the hips. 3, 2, and relax, 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 relax. Awesome job. All right, we are almost done here. But we're going to go back to the other side. I'm not going to make you do a movement path. We're just going to, let me show you. I'll show again, I'll demonstrate. So we're going to do, from this same position, we're going to go back to the right leg. We gave it a little break before. And now we're going to do what's known as kinetic stretching. So kinetic stretching is basically using those isometric contractions that we were just doing, the pails and rails. But now we're using them to create movement, right? So what I'm going to do is, when we think about that rails contraction where she tried to lift this off the ground and squeeze this together, she's going to try to use these same muscles, and instead of lifting this leg off the ground, what it's going to do is going to pull her torso forward. So it's as if this is being held down, and when she pulls this up, it pulls her chest down and her ribs down, so it closes that gap. Then she's going to switch to that pails contraction, which was extending down through the floor, and she's going to allow that to push her back out of that stretch. So she's using the same contractions in the lower body to create movement through the torso and use that as a little bit of weight resistance, whatever, and get a little bit more stretch. So again, she's going to think pull up, right? Like she was trying to pop that balloon, but now instead of trying to lift this off the floor, she's using that contraction to pull as deep as she can into this stretch. You can't get any deeper. She's going to flip that contraction down. Now she's getting heavy in that scale. Now she's pushing down, curling down, and she's using that to push her torso away. And we're just going back and forth like that. Pull, push, pull, push. All right, so first thing first, always got to find that stretch. She should be nice and loose here now because she's all opened up. All right, and she's going to create tension. Yep, you can feel free to have your hands on the floor. If you wanted to make this harder, you could try with your hands off the floor because that would add load to the torso. Not necessary though. All right, so now she's going to start by trying to pull up with this thigh, and that's going to pull her down into this stretch. When she maxes out, when she reaches her absolute basement level without rounding the spine, exactly, she's going to flip that, push down through the heel, and use that to push her away. You see Shannon's going a little bit harder because she's not using her hands for support, and then switch. As soon as you get to the top, now pull yourself down, pull yourself down, pull yourself down. Push, push, push. Push yourself down, push, push, push yourself away. Yep, push down into the heel. That's 2. We're doing 5 here. Again, this is max effort work. She's lifting, she's using this stuff to pull her in, and then she's using this stuff to push herself out. 3, 2 more. Yep, and you see the higher she gets her hands, the more resistance that's going to be. So the farther away, if she went over her head, that would be even harder. We don't need to do that. She doesn't have to destroy herself right now. But just these are ways that we can progress over time. Last one. Pull yourself in, pull yourself in. This hip flexor stuff is doing all the work. And now push yourself away, push yourself away, push yourself away. Awesome, awesome, awesome job. All right, you can flip sides now. Again, no need to go isometric or anything like that. But what I actually do want to point out, I forgot on the last one, if you want, you can take this, your right leg now, and just kind of cross it over your left leg. So this will just give her a little bit of resistance so that when she's pulling up on that first part, for that isometric kind of rails contraction, that it just has something to push in against. This can be helpful so that she's not actually trying to just like lift off the ground. You don't have to do that. You can do it the way it was before, but this is a equally easy or helpful way to get that done. Shannon isn't going to do that because she's fine. But what we also don't want, just to be clear too, is that when we're going, so say when she's pulling in like this, I don't want this. I don't want this to lift off the floor. The goal is I'm pulling up as if this was glued to the floor. So because if I just did this, then this moves and not my torso. So the goal is, although I'm pulling this up, I'm using that contraction to pull myself forward. So that's like why I said, if you do this, it's much harder for this to just yank off the floor. So if you keep seeing yourself do this and this lifts up off the floor every time, then maybe you go for this version. Shannon could keep her leg on the floor and just control it, so that's fine for her. All right, so 5 times again, 5 reps. All right, so contract here. This stuff is what's squeezing in. Go ahead. Pull yourself in, pull yourself in, pull yourself in. Reach the bottom. Keep thinking chest up. Keep thinking butt back. Same cues I've been giving, right? Now push, 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 push. Right, so what we don't want is for her to get into that rounded spine position, right? She's still thinking as she's pulling in, it's belly button up and forward. It's butt backing out. That's 2. Press, crush the floor. Good. Get all this down to the floor. This is 2. We got 3 more here. Good. Last 2. This is everything. Give it everything you got, because this is the last thing we're doing for this. So we're just going to go retest some cars afterwards and then call it a day. Last one. All in. 100% max effort. 1 rep max. Leave it all on the floor. If I asked you to do 1 single more rep, you probably shouldn't be able to, because this is 5 out of 5. 5 RM. Good job. Rest. Awesome. All right, so now we're relaxing, and now we're going to just go back to where we started the day, and we're going to retest some different hip cars, see what feels different, what feels the same, if anything's been loosened up, if any things have been knocked into place or knocked out of place or shaken loose or whatever. But we are going to, I'm going to let Shannon stay on her back for the axial cars. Yep, you can just lay down this way. Yeah. So we did this standing, but just for the sake of demonstration and because her hip flexors are probably a little bit tired and I really want to focus on that rotation, I'm going to let her lay down for this. So now she's going to pick her foot up off the floor. And now again, this is that same thing. Just move it forward just a little so we get pure rotation. I want to think about that stake going down from her knee through the hip, and she's just rotating in and then rotating out. And we're trying to get a little bit more. So this is find your end, fight for a little bit more every time. Exactly. Find your end, fight for a little bit more. Get away from my hand, get away from my hand, get away from my hand. Good, that's 2. We're doing 5 of these. Find your end, get away from my hand, get away from my hand, get away from my hand. Good. All right. And this is, again, testing how does this internal, external rotation feel after working the hell out of it for a full class. Tight and heavy. It might feel heavy, it might feel fatigued. Tired also, yes, that's what it feels. Yes, that's definitely, it should feel tired. That means you worked. These, again, these little rotators are things that don't get a lot of love if you're not doing this type of training, and that's why this type of training is so important. Good, when you get to 5, just switch to the other side. Yep. Good, find your end, fight for more. A little bit more, hold that. Push, push, push away from my hand. Good, come back. Good, don't let me push you away, don't let me push you away, push into my hand. Good. Don't let me push you away, push into my hand, push into my hand, push into my hand. Good, so we want to fight for a little bit more. We want this game is won in millimeters, right? It's not going to be from here to here in one session. It's going to be from here to here. You might not even be able to see it, but you'll feel it. And little by little, a little adds up to a lot, right? Little millimeters add up eventually to big, big changes, and that's what we're really going for here. Good. All right. Good. All right, we're going to do one last thing. We're going to do one more full hip car, but we're going to do it from the full quadruped position. And what I'm going to ask, you can go kind of like diagonal maybe. Yeah, this is fine because I have the other camera too. All right, so what I'm going to ask is that we're going to do a hip car, but what I'm going to ask is that Shannon tries to squeeze her shin to the back of her butt as much as she can. So she's trying to get maximal hamstring contraction, and now she's going to go through a full hip car. All right, she's going to bring her knee up, open to the side. Whenever we're doing hip cars from the quadruped, imagine you have a can of Coke right here, right? She can't let it spill, so there's no motion through here. Shannon is perfect with this because she practices so much. This is what you should do because daily cars every day. This is squeeze this, get this heel closer to the butt. Yeah, this is hard work, especially at the end of a class like this. Everything is cooked. Those adductors, those rotators, everything, her hamstring, all right? Nothing else is moving. You see, this is all about her hip rotating, letting her thigh muscle rotate around the hip socket. All right, and she's going to do the same thing on the other side. That's fine. Just 2 reps, and then we're all done. All right, yep, squeeze. Try to keep that heel towards the butt, heel towards the butt, heel towards the butt. Yeah, this is going to want to cramp. Don't lose it. Good. Again, she's balancing something here. She's not getting anything through the torso. Stay strong through these arms. Last one, last rep, best rep. Awesome job, awesome work. Relax, relax, relax. All right, that was awesome. Thank you, Shannon. I know that was hard work. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Go through this video as many times as you want. This is medicine for your hips. The more, the better. I mean, the first time you do it, it's going to feel weird. It's going to be foreign. You're going to be like, what the hell is this? But if you do this once, twice a week for a few weeks, you will feel better. You will feel change 100% of the time. I guarantee it. Let me know if you have questions. Drop me a comment, an email, a carrier pigeon. It doesn't matter. But I'll see you on the next video.